This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Readers Entertainment Radio, and I'm Patricia W. Fisher. We're doing something a little different this week. We decided to meet on a Saturday, so if you're wondering why we weren't around on Thursday, this is why. And it all works out because it's a really chilly day here in Central Texas, and it's a great day to sit inside and read some books, and I've got some amazing books for you to read by an incredible author named Kelly Cain, and I'm going to get to her in just a second. But one thing I want to do is give a great big shout-out to Girl Scouts, because today is the 110th anniversary of the very first Girl Scout meeting back in 1912 in Savannah, Georgia, by Juliette Lowe. And for those who don't know, she got her idea from Girl Scouts, from a gentleman who started boy guides out of the UK, and I believe it's Powell is the last name for the gentleman. But he said, "Hey, why don't you start something for girls?" And she's like, "You know what, I will," because her dad had taught her how to, camp and live outside and do all sorts of stuff that girls weren't at the time typically supposed to be able or, capable of doing, which we all know is complete bogus because, the Vikings, seriously, come on. So a big shout out to Girl Scouts, and I know there's a lot of parents out there who are very glad cookie season is over, and I'm one of those people. But big shout out to Girl Scouts all over, and do something if you were a Girl Scout. There is a hashtag they're trying to trend today. It's, I believe, when I was a Girl Scout, or because of Girl Scouts. That's what it is. Hashtag because of Girl Scouts, and you can say, because of Girl Scouts, I found my love of, cooking, outdoors, photography, leadership, sisterhood, whatever you want to do there. So give them a shout out, and that's it. So while you're sitting inside and eating all those boxes of Girl Scout cookies that you didn't intend to buy, I have a book that you need to curl up with a nice cup of cocoa or coffee or toddy, and get started. And this book is just as delicious as the title and the write-up. But first, I'm going to tell you about the author. Kelly Cain is a native North Californian, but has spent the last couple of decades in Texas, currently residing in the live music capital of the world, Austin, just up the road from me. Consequently, most of her books are set somewhere between those two locations. Kelly writes multicultural romance with determined women directing their own fates and the swoon-worthy men who adore them. She loves reading most genres, but please don't ask her just to pick one. However, she can pick her favorite book boyfriend, Will Herondale. That's what. Did I say that right, Kelly? Herondale?
Herondale, yes, that's right.
Herondale. Okay. When she isn't reading or writing, Kelly is most likely using genealogy site to research her extended family, both old and new, or cooking or baking something delightful. And she has a wonderful layering of recipes in her book, so get ready. She has 2 adult daughters and a new granddaughter. She's collaborated with a wonderful group of authors and great friends of their short story collection. The book is called Deja You, and it is available. And yes, I do have a link in the write-up of the show for that. And to find more about Book Besties and their short story collection, you can check out their website, Facebook, or Twitter. And to find Kelly, there's her website, Facebook, Goodreads, Twitter, Pinterest, and Tule Publishing, because she's a fellow Tule author. So welcome to the show, Kelly. How are you today?
I am well. Thanks so much for having me, Patricia.
Absolutely. So I was looking at, your book just came out, A Tasty Dish. It came out March 8th, so just this week.
Right.
And you've written before. You have other books. But what was the catalyst for you to write this series?
So it actually started, with book 1, An Acquired Taste, and I have a group of writing friends. We were published together with our first books like 5-6 years ago, and we've remained friends, and we talk every day, in a Twitter DM, we have Zoom calls, all of that. And one of them was like, you know what, I'd really love to see you write a really sexy romance about 2 chefs going head-to-head in a competition. So that's kind of how it started. I was like, wow, that does sound interesting, because I love cooking and, and yeah.
Did you pull your own recipes? Did you find others? Did you ask for others' recipes? How did you pull in those kinds of things for the book?
Yeah, well, most of them are from, like, my mother, growing up with her, recipes that were handed down in my family, even my dad. There's a collard greens recipe in there, and that was, like, he only cooked a couple of dishes, and that was one of his specialties, so I used his recipe. Even my son-in-law, the tostones, that came from him, so pretty much a family thing.
Isn't it interesting, because I know a lot of people are saying, oh, you want to scan everything, you want to type it in, but there is something very, I don't know what the word is, sensory about holding that recipe card that your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your mom wrote out the recipe. Because I don't know what it is. It's like you see their handwriting and you can almost feel them writing the recipe, right?
Right.
It's just, so anybody out there, if you find those cards, yes, scan them because, of course, to keep them forever. But, I mean, there's just hold those cards. If you can laminate it or whatever, just hold on to them. What has been your favorite recipe to include? Or is that yet to come in your other 2 books of the series?
So I think my favorite to include is my mother's sweet potato pie, and I think the reason is because it's not made like your normal sweet potato pie. It's more like a custardy sweet potato, and it's really light, and it's just so good. And, I mean, it brings back so many memories, of course, Thanksgiving, waking up early in the morning and smelling those smells, and, it just gives me good feelings. So I guess I'm going to go with that one, but there's so many good ones.
So when you're dealing, I mean, I know there's a lot of discussions over the years, and we had a very good teacher of my husband's in high school. We visited him years ago when we were back home for Thanksgiving, and they talked about he had just had a quadruple bypass or something. And then, of course, when you do that, they're talking about heart health and everything. But his wife and he were kind of laughing because he said, the first thing you did when you walked in the kitchen at that time, or, you would get the cast iron skillet out, right, and just scoop a bunch of lard in it, and then you would decide what you were going to make because everything started there. I had an aunt that every recipe she had started with a stick of butter. Every one. So what have been, and I asked this because I have something to tell you about it, but what have been some of the disasters of subbing other things? Like, oh, we don't want to do Crisco, we want to do, something else. I mean, what has been your process for that, if any?
Yeah, I try not to include recipes with that, but there are some, and I just didn't sub them. So there's these green beans that my mom used to bake, and it starts with bacon grease, and there's a few bacon grease recipes in the first book for sure.
Right.
I just left them alone, but for personally, I sub in a lot of coconut oil for butter. I sub in coconut milk. Instead of, dairy. So it works out well most of the time. I mean, I'm sure I've had some mishaps for sure, but that's kind of my go-to, and it subs in really well. I bake these oatmeal raisin cookies, and I, use the coconut oil instead of the butter, and honey instead of sugar, and all of that, and they're still really, really yummy.
Oh, wow. Well, and for everybody out there who thinks they want to sub honey for sugar, understand it's a half, right? So it's like half the honey.
So much sweeter, yes.
Yeah. Because my sweet mother-in-law was very much trying to get them all to go, low, whatever. And she made pumpkin pie one year for Thanksgiving, but she didn't realize that you half the honey. Yeah, my dad said it was you just couldn't do it.
I can imagine.
No. It was not.
I could only imagine.
So if you learn nothing else from this talk today, know that it's a half. It's a half for the honey. Just know that.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 books in this series, and they're all brothers. And you have them set, in Texas. Being from Northern California, I mean, what has been there's a lot of obvious differences, and we won't get into the political discussions, but just because, both of us will just blow a gasket, I'm sure. But it's one of those things that, food-wise, What have you seen the difference from going from Northern California to here to Texas for food-wise?
Right. So, I mean, I can say that Texas, I think, and I hate to say this because I am from California, but Texas food is so much better. So, living in both places, I moved back to California for about 4 years during my last 30 years of living in Texas. And my mother-in-law at the time came to visit, and I mean, I just load her up with everything that I could think of that I wanted for her to bring. But moving here, and when people come from California, it's like, there's nothing really, that I asked them to bring that I just miss so much. Yeah. So, but there are, even in the book, there are recipes that I grew up with that are local to Northern California, like the shrimp, the shrimp bluey salad. I mean, that's a staple in San Francisco, and, of course, sourdough bread and all of that. So I include those, but and those are good, really good things, but Texas, hands down, has the best food.
We my daughter got to go to France for a month for an exchange program, and so she was there, and she was staying at this little town at the base of the Alps that I had never heard of before, but it's near Lyon, which is like southeast France, because everyone always like, oh, Paris. It's like, well, no, she was actually like a bit from outside of Paris. But Lyon is supposed to be like the culinary capital of the world. And apparently this little town has all these natural springs, so it was a place where a lot of the Allied soldiers would go to recoup during World War I. So she got all this history, and they walked everywhere and rode bikes, and she came here, and that poor girl, I mean, it was like maybe 80, there. It was perfect, and there's no humidity. And then she hit San Antonio in July.
Oh, no.
God. But she did have a list of food she wanted to try. And, man, that girl had done some research because she was, like, all about trying everything when she was here. I think we put a good 5 to 10 pounds on her for the month. I mean,
I can imagine.
Like, go big or go home, right? So yeah. But it was fun to see the differences, even just like the way people eat. It's very different over there. The joke about the French taking so long for meals, it's an experience. It's a whole thing, and you bring that layering in with the patience it takes to have these characters that they're saying it's an art form, and you have to take your time with it. Now, I know that you love cooking because we've been talking about it for the last 10 minutes, and I love it too. But what was it about these particular characters in your books that you wanted to bring in, like what characteristics or flaws or what have you? What did you want to make sure you wrote when you were writing these characters?
Well, so for book one with Rowan, she is she's a chef, and she trained at the best school in the country, along with Knox, her rival. But she works in her mother's but a small cafe. I guess it would be a soul food cafe. And her mother it's her mother's, and her mother makes all the rules, and Rowan has these ideas, and she doesn't get to implement them. So her idea, is kind of to do this competition, maybe get a bigger restaurant for her mother and set her up, but also kind of go off on her own in the future. Right. And so it's really that and a tasty dish. They're both about family dynamics and how we relate to our parents as adults and, the other way around. And Knox is in the same kind of position because he really just needs to get away from his dad. And his dad is a Michelin-starred chef, and he's the heir apparent, and his dad is very controlling, and so he just so that was kind of the dynamics that set up that book. For the second book, it was more of the daddy issues that came into it with the older brother Declan, who actually does love working for his dad, but he may not be as good a chef as Knox, and he doesn't not resentful about that. He knows it's just what it is. But then he goes off with Cassie, who's a filmmaker, and they're making this series, and he discovers, oh, wow, I am really good at this, which is being in front of the camera and, going on adventures and showing people, he's just really good at that. And so but he still has that loyalty to his dad. So,
sure.
Will he leave or will he stay? So just kind of those different dynamics with family. And it's for the third book as well.
Yeah, I think everybody struggles with that just a little bit. But I think when you bring it, like within a family itself, like the Everhart brothers. I mean, you're writing these 3 books for them or about them, and then it's like each. I mean, we all have it, but each brother has their own thing with not only the dad, but of course each other, and then of course what they think they should be doing versus what they want to do. I mean, I think that's very relatable. And was it important to you to write something that was super relatable, or were these just the characters that came into your brain when you were thinking about it, when you were brainstorming?
Yeah, I think it's just part of my brand to, the whole family dynamics, messy family dynamics thing.
Sure.
Because I'm writing a different series for Thule right now, and it's, more of the same family stuff, but in a whole different way. It's an adoption series.
Oh, wow.
So, it's just part of my brand that, it ends up being that way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, family can be the most wonderful thing and the most stressful thing and the most crazy thing and the most, it's just like the most everything in our lives for certain. Oh, no. So you mentioned you're writing a second series, because I'm looking at the Thule website, and you have your 3 books here. So you've got a tasty, Taste of Sweet, a Tasty Dish, and Acquired Taste. And then Taste of Sweet, it comes out this year, correct? So August 9th?
August, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Tasty Dish is out now, March 8th, and then an Acquired Taste is June 8th.
Of last year.
Okay.
That was book 1. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was book 1. And then for anybody who's interested, and I will put a link up in the of the show, there is a trailer for a Tasty Dish on YouTube. So, did you do the trailer?
I did. I did it for an Acquired Taste as well. It's out there, and for a Tasty Dish. And there will be one for Taste of Sweet as well.
Oh, fun. Now, you put it together yourself.
I did.
What software did you use, or what? I mean, did
Canva.
You kind of okay.
Yeah, I used Canva.
Yeah, God, it's good for so many things. That pro membership or whatever you pay, like $120 or something. It's so worth it.
It's worth it. It really is.
So much good stuff out of there. Sometimes it's just knowing how to search for it, though, because sometimes it's like, I know it's in here. I've got to have this.
Right.
It's like,
and I love Canva because you don't have to be technically inclined to use it,
Right. But it looks
easy.
Pretty good when you're done, right?
Yeah, exactly. It looks very professional, like you know what you're doing.
And that's the important part sometimes. Like, I really don't know, but it looks like I do, so I'll go with it.
Yeah.
So you've got this new series coming out. Can you tell me a little bit about it? The adoption series?
I can. Yeah, it's 3 books, and it's all 3 will be out next year, 2023. So it's an adoption series, and it's very personal to me because at 50 years old, I found out I was adopted, and kind of went on the journey of figuring out who my birth family was, and now I have this great relationship with my siblings and who I didn't even realize, I had. So book 1 is probably the closest to my journey, but it's very fictionalized, and it's a romance. So, because I write romance.
Yeah.
So, it's just, a woman gets this mysterious antique ring and from someone who says they're her grandmother, but the woman has passed on, and so she, finds this hot geochemist who helps her kind of track it down. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's book 1, and then which is called Inclusions. And book 2 is the one I'm writing right now, which is another woman who is, so it all centers around this adoption group,
Okay.
you know, that they go and talk once a week and, you know, commune together. So number 2 follows a woman who has no desire to find her, you know, adopt her birth family at all, but it kind of drops in her lap because her birth brother is like a politician and he's running for governor, and, you know, it kind of, you know, how they do like the background checks and the fixers and all of that come into play. So it's actually been a really fun book to write.
Wow.
And then book 3 will be someone who does know she's adopted and is searching for her family.
Wow. Yeah, we adopted 2 children from foster care, and
okay.
Yeah, and my cousin was adopted. So it's very interesting to hear everybody's journey.
Right.
You know, he knew, and we all knew, and he had no desire to find out anything. And then he got in his 40s, and he started having some medical issues, and he's like, I'm so done putting unknown for medical history. And he's like, I have kids, and I mean, they need to know, you know, what we're looking for.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
And my whole life I've been putting a medical history that didn't belong to me at all.
Right. And so, yeah, I can't even imagine. It's one of those things that people don't really think about at the time. So if anybody's out there thinking of adopting, be sure to get family medical history for the children, because it's important, especially if you have like a predisposition for certain kinds of cancers, certain kinds certain kinds of heart issues, especially if someone's had, you know, long QT, which is something that you hear every year an athlete, you know, ran for a touchdown or finish a track meet and then they drop over. So, I mean, those are things that are hereditary. Right. And so please ask and get all you can. I mean, all of it. And sometimes, we all know this, family's not necessarily forthcoming with information, but get what you can.
Right, and it depends on what state you're in, too, because California is very locked down on adoption, so which is where I, you know, obviously was adopted. And I did finally get my birth report when I figured it out, and it was just, you know, basic medical history from them, my parents, when they were, you know, 18 and 21. So wasn't like, they're young and healthy, right? So there wasn't a whole lot there. But now, of course, I know. Now that I know who they are.
Right. Well, and I think, too, it's been kind of a recent thing in the past few decades that people actually are more forthcoming about family history of medical. Because, you know, they used to think cancer was contagious. So, you know, you didn't talk about it. You know, if you got cancer, man, you just didn't tell anybody.
I did not know that.
Yeah. They used to think, that. But even, I mean, I had a very good friend of mine who talked about it. And when she was diagnosed, she said her coworkers wouldn't even look her in the face anymore.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So it was just like, really? I mean, you'd think this would be the time of more compassion, right? And not necessarily. So yeah, it's bizarre. But I mean, that journey I think is so unique for everyone. And so interesting.
Absolutely.
Were you able to, did you do something like Ancestry? Or did
that's
you
how I found out. That's exactly how I found out. I took the DNA test for fun.
Oh, yeah.
And then it came back with all these weird things, and you know, for my ancestry, and I was like, well, that's not what I was told. And then I didn't have any matches who I recognized, even though I knew I had first cousins who'd taken the test and who were in there, and I didn't match with them. So that's kind of how I figured it out. My mom had passed away already by then, and my dad when I finally put it together, he actually passed away like 4 months later. So he was, you know, he couldn't really remember a lot. You know, I just said, "Hey, am I adopted?" He's like, "Oh yeah," like duh. It's just like, "Oh my God, why didn't you guys ever tell me?"
Wow.
And,
okay.
and I'm like asking him, you know, questions. Who are my people and all, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, that was so long ago. I don't remember."
Yeah.
Like, so I had to start from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of a paperwork battle a little bit, or a lot, to find get those files and everything else, I'm sure.
No, I did get my birth report, but it's very vague, and you know, they try to keep out identifying information in any way. But I had matches, so I started building family trees around those matches, the closest ones I had on both sides.
Yeah.
And then that's how I kind of put it together.
Wow.
Finally.
Wow.
And then just reached out to them. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had a good experience.
Yeah, I have. I mean, the fact that I have siblings, I mean, it's been amazing. You know, we see each other all the time now, and, you know, I hate that I missed out so many years with them, but at least, you know, I have them now, and we're close, and it's been great.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I had no idea, so we were going to go on this just like really amazing tangent. So thank you for that, because I'm sure there's somebody listening that's like, you know, that's kind of, you know, something interesting happened to me. So it's kind of nice sometimes, like you're talking about with this new series and having the support group or the group. Those things are important, really important. Right. Did you go to some groups to kind of see how? Get some research and see how they're set up, or was this something you built organically?
Yeah, I did not go. I kind of did some research online, and then just kind of imagined that if I did go, what this would look like in Berkeley, California, and kind of made up my own thing of what I would want out of a group, and, you know, the feel of it and the people and how it was run and all of that.
So does this group, you know, you've got 3 books now, and I know that's kind of typical that most publishers will contract for, you know, 1 to 3 books because, you know, if you they used to you know, remember when we'd hear the stories about, I have contracted for 8 books, you know, it's like that doesn't happen anymore. So I think even when J.K. Rowling was writing Harry Potter, it was like the first 2, then the 3rd, then the 4th, then the 5th, then 6th, 7th, you know, it's just like it was all like scattered, or maybe, but it wasn't all 7. So it's, and I think any series is like that now. But so if you get to the 3, are there other characters you can continue this series with?
Oh my goodness, yes. Especially the 3rd book is following Brother Weston, who's a middle child. So he has kind of those typical middle child things going on. Like he has more of a found family because, you know, maybe he was ignored at home or playing intermediary between, you know, older brother Declan and younger brother Knox. And so he has a big friend group, and there are some great characters there I'd love to explore. And then with his love interest, Ryan, she is actually the executive manager of the restaurant. So she has cousins who live in Austin who they just have this huge friend group. So I would definitely, there's some characters there that I really liked. And then in book 2, there's Cassie has 2 friends, Joy and Tariq, who I actually love those characters so much too, and I'd love to give them each a book. So maybe one day we'll see.
Right. Isn't it funny? And then what's really interesting is, you know, you fall in love with these characters like, oh, I've got to write a book for them. And then there are these kind of smaller characters that people are like, well, what about them? And I'm like, and you think, I don't know. You know, like they're not on my radar. Oh no, you have to write about them. Like, really? Okay.
Right.
See what I can come up
and
with.
I've been seeing in the reviews for book 2 that definitely people are noticing Joy and Tariq. So I was like, yep, me too. Same. Yeah. So
you've got, you know, these different series going on. How do you keep it all organized? I mean, it's like I'm still searching. My friend Sasha suggested Plotter, so I'm learning how to enter everything in there. But I mean, what is your method of keeping all these worlds separate?
So I tried initially. I tried Plotter. It didn't work for me well. I mean, it does. It works fine, but I don't know. I write in Scrivener, so that's where I hold everything. So for a series, I have, a larger Scrivener file that has, all the connections and all the backstories and all of that in there. And then write each book with all the character files, and they have setting files and all of that. So it makes it easy to have it in one place there. Otherwise, I mean, I like to think that I'm super organized, but I don't know. If someone else came and looked at it, I don't know if they think the same thing, but it works for me. So
Yeah. That's really what matters. And it's funny because when I first started writing, and I'd go to writers, conferences and stuff, and you'd sit there and you'd see writers that have multiple books and multiple series, and they talk about trying to keep things straight, and I'd think, well, how could you possibly forget about this character in this book? And now after I've written 10 books, I'm like, I mean, sometimes I'm like, did I take the trash out today? It's just like, you can't even remember what eye color somebody had. Like, I don't know.
Exactly. I know. It's so funny. And Jane, Jane Porter, who is the, owner of Thule, the other day she said, I think she had 78 books, and she was talking about one from a long time ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you even remember?
I don't know.
The title of the book, less known what's going on in it. So that's pretty admirable.
She's amazing. There was years ago, I was first writing for Thule, and she posted a picture of her library in her house. And it was like something straight out of Beauty and the Beast. I mean, it looked like this amazing, massive library, right? And it had all these built-in bookshelves. And but she had it looked like a Barnes & Noble the way it was set up. I mean, she had, all the romance ones, and they were alphabetized. And then she's like, well, I spent my Sunday organizing my library. I'm like, holy crap, that's like, it looks like 10,000 books, no lie. And it was beautiful. Wow. Yeah, and then I walk into mine, and I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just too overwhelming.
Exactly. I have bookshelves in this room, in that room, in the closet.
I know, and I'm like, I know that book is blue, and I pretty much know what room I left it in. So that's good enough for me. So that's my organization.
Yeah, something to aspire to, but pretty lofty goals there.
Right. It's not going to happen today. No. I don't think I can take high enough doses of my ADD medicine to make that happen. I really don't. Yeah, it just wouldn't. So you've got these two series. What is, we all have those, it never ends, like story ideas. They never end. But is there something kind of brewing in the back burner that you want to write about eventually?
There is. I have a couple of different ideas that I have for like next series after this. I also have a couple of, there's a collective that I'm writing for that I need to write that book before, I think, May 1st. Yeah. And then a short story collection that I have, I think, due August 1st. So, right now trying to focus on those, trying to focus on the second book in the series, and then I have the third that I need to write also by August. So I have a lot going on right now, and just really trying to get through there first, through all those, and then I'll turn my, mind to these other ideas that I've had kind of, on the back burner.
But it's like that. You're like, okay, I got all this stuff to do, and then like 15 story ideas come up. It's like, no.
New shiny idea. Yeah.
Let's just lock those away, just in the vault. So you also wrote you also wrote a book with a group of authors a few years ago called Deja You. And it's the more second chance romances is what you were talking about. So tell me about this series and then your story in the series.
Right. So this series, it's a collection of short stories, and this is with those authors that I talked about at the beginning of this call, where we're just such great friends, and we decided, let's do this anthology together. So each of us wrote our take on what we thought second chances were. They're not all romances.
Okay.
They're basically romances, but some of them are not rooted in, conventional romance theories. So there are fantasy elements as well in some of the stories. Mine is set in Oahu. It's in Hawaii. And, a woman's on her senior trip. She's graduated from high school. So she's gone to Hawaii, and there's all these naval ships parked in Pearl Harbor. And so she meets a sailor.
Okay.
And they have a romance, and it's a short 1 week romance, but he wants her plan is she's actually already signed up for the Army. So, and he's like, no, you shouldn't do it because I've been in, the military for 4 years. I think you should do something else, and maybe we could be together and blah, blah, blah kind of thing. So that's kind of the background of the story. And
okay.
Yeah.
And you said it in the 80s, correct?
I did, yes.
Yeah. So what was that research like? Yeah, what was that research like?
You should see my Pinterest board of all the 80s stuff. I still get people pinning stuff from the Pinterest board today. The 80s is just, what a time to be alive. Of course, that's, I graduated from high school in the 80s, so a lot of it is memory stuff, but also so much research to remind myself of what was going on at the time. And yeah. But it was a fun time, though.
It's funny because there's all these, classic, they talk about all these classic movies from the 80s and everything else, and we were watching Goonies, which I had never watched fully, we watched it with my kids, and my daughter kept going, why is he wearing his shorts on the outside of his sweats? Why? I mean, it's like she's a teenager. She's like, this makes no sense. She just could not get past it. And so poor Josh Brolin.
Have you heard of Sound in Cinema?
Have I what?
In Austin? Heard of Sound in Cinema?
No. What is that?
It's a thing they do it at the Long Center, so like right on the river, right downtown, and there's, this big grassy area, and they set up food trucks and all of that, and they show movies. So the last one I saw was The Goonies there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's what made me reminded me of that. But it's such a great experience. I highly recommend if you ever want to drive the 45 minutes or whatever over to see. Yeah. And it's totally free. You just go out there and set up your chair or blanket, and then they have a band there, of course, because, it's Austin, so you have to have a live band wherever you go.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
They play until the evening, and then they start the show on this big screen outside. It's just a great experience, and I highly recommend. Also, it factors heavily into book 3 of The Everharts.
Okay. Yeah, I remember we lived in Austin. I was born there, and then we lived there for, off and on. But I remember sitting on the bank of the river there, and Palmer Auditorium was there at the time, so, a long time ago. But it was the 4th of July, and so they had the whole 4th of July thing.
I guess.
Fireworks. And then, of course, Zilker Park, if anybody's familiar, you go to Zilker Park and see all the lights. Yep. And there's a Christmas tree made of lights. And we actually have old 8mm of my dad under it, spinning, because he would put me on his shoulders and spin.
Oh,
so,
that
was, yeah.
What a lovely
sweet
memory.
Yeah, it's fun. And that was also where my dad, we lived over off of Old Torf, when I was little, and that was the year that my dad gave me an 8mm of the movie Tarantula for Christmas, because I had asked for a princess movie. So I got Tarantula, and it's a horribly good movie. It's 1955, research scientist, of course, because we're Cold War in it right now. And it's, of course, he injects all these animals with growth serum, and one gets out. and wreaked havoc on the countryside.
Right.
Yes. And if anybody is interested in watching it, it is truly one of those great, awful, bad, wonderful movies from the 1950s, black and white. Of course, the research scientist wears pearls and heels. You know, she's got a master's in science, but she's, you know, looking very June Cleaver. Everybody smokes.
Right.
My kids were like, "Why is everyone smoking?" I'm like, I know. But also, one of Clint Eastwood's very first roles. He is the fighter pilot. Yeah, he's the fighter pilot that napalms the spider. So, the giant spider. There it is. So,
wow.
Uncredited. Yeah, uncredited. And what's funny about it is, yeah, he's uncredited. But what's funny about it is if you go back and look, I love movie trivia, obviously, here. If you go back and look at Back to the Future and the third one, when they take off from the drive-in, there's movie posters, and they're all Clint Eastwood movies. And,
really? I've never noticed.
I didn't either. And there was some sort of like movies that shaped us or something on Netflix. There's a short series. They do a bunch of different movies behind the scenes type thing. And Tarantula was one of those posters. So it was very, very funny. And there you go. So when you have a dull silence in an office party, throw it in. So now you go. They've got something completely neutral to talk about. There you go. There you go for everybody out there listening. So there you go. Giant spider, Clint Eastwood. So we got it. So we've got a few minutes left. I want to know what's on your to-be-read pile. What are you reading right now?
Ooh, so much, as every other person in the world, I'm sure, who reads.
Right.
I just started Stuck With You by Fortune Whelan. She's another Thule author, so I have an arc. It comes out in April, I think.
Okay.
She got a great Publishers Weekly review, said she's a romance writer to watch, and so I started the book, and I'm really loving it so far, definitely. I also like cozy, so another friend of mine, Record Store Reckoning, his name is J.C. Kinney, so that's on my TBR. I'll probably read that next. I've been holding on to The Matzo Ball by Laura Brown, which is another one I read a lot of her, and so this one is, on the list too. The Marriage Contract. Mia Henselman. So she's another Thule author. This isn't a Thule book, though. Her debut with Thule doesn't come out until next year, but this looks like a really fun book, so definitely want to read that. And what else? A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. So I also read a lot of fantasy and besides romance. So this is a good one. This is book 2 from Jennifer Armentrout, I think is her name.
Okay.
So I read book 1 like a couple of weeks ago, and I really liked it a lot. So I'm like, I got to see what happens next. So got to get those in. I just have so many books to read all the time. So I could literally sit here and read you a whole list for like an hour.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm like, if I could just go to a desert island for like, a month, I could get all the books read. It's like, well, no, you wouldn't, because there'd be a whole other pile when you got back.
A whole other, exactly that. So these are ones that are on my Kindle, and I have probably 30 more on my Kindle already.
Right.
And so these aren't even ones that I need to buy, or borrow from the library.
It's so nice. It's so nice when you can do that. And I mean, there's certain books that I will just buy, like. And it's usually a lot of times when it's a big series, and if I can get the whole series for less than the print ones, and I know this is sounds bad, but honestly, writers get more of a percentage of an ebook for royalties. So, so know that when people are listening. But yeah, no, it's one of those things that you're just like, but I could get the whole series right now. I could right now.
Right.
Click.
But don't sleep on the library either, because, that's also helpful for authors as well. And I do borrow a lot from our local library, like on the Libby app. So, I don't actually go into the library, but I do ebooks and audiobooks.
Right, and you can also the San Antonio Library is you can do national. There's you can check out ebooks from that, and like you're talking about. But it's one of those things that the libraries is a huge one, and also if you have books that you have read and you loved, but you're probably not going to read again, donate them to the library. I mean, they love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they love that. They do get some from the publishers, but, I mean, donate those books because even if you have – or another thing that I've encouraged people to do is if you know that there's kids in the area, like they're going to be reading, there's always a book list. So everyone's reading whatever. If you have that book on your shelf, it's just there, like, I don't know, Mice and Men or The Outsiders or Macbeth or whatever, donate it to the school. Because sometimes some of those kids don't have the money to buy their own book. So help them out. Yeah, help them out. Or just give them a $10 gift card or $20, whatever, and let the teachers go buy the book for them. So, yeah. So there you go, everybody. You've got some good stuff to get cracking on. But the first thing you do is you need to go get Kelly's book, her 2 books, An Acquired Taste and A Tasty Dish. And then go ahead and pre-order Taste So Sweet. Then you'll have all 3 of those books. And the Everhart Brothers will be on your shelf for your Kindle. So, yes.
Right.
Thank you so much for being here today. Please come back and talk to us.
Oh, definitely. Thank you so much for having me. I'd love to come back hopefully next year when this new series kicks off.
Please do. Yes. I absolutely want to talk to you some more about it. Thank you so much. And everybody, stay safe. This has been Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio. I've been talking to author Kelly Cain. You can find her on her website, Facebook, Goodreads, Twitter, Pinterest, and Too-Late Publishing. All the links are in the write-up of the show. Her newest books, A Tasty Dish and Acquired Taste, are out now. And check it out. Everybody stay safe and keep on reading.
This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.